Betting on sports can be hard, but hiring Morgan & Morgan is easy. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/bestbets or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/bestbets. This is a paid advertisement.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Tuesday morning. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you take it a sip, we appreciate it. It is Gill Alexander. It is Kelley Bydlon, everybody, live from Circa. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. We almost just had to hit the dump button the quickest in the history of VSiN.
Oh, because you were saying some stuff?
Yeah, that show really sneaks up on you, Gill, you know?
Gets in the way of your conversation that you're having.
It really does, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you cleaned up your potty mouth before the show started.
Sorry, my apologies.
Good show. Drew Dinsick will join us pretty soon here, about 15 minutes away. Drew Dinsick from both the Deep Dive and Bet the Edge podcast from NBC Sports. We'll talk NFL, Week 12 gone by, Week 13, all of his bets moving forward, including, of course, Thanksgiving and Black Friday games. Which is, it's that kind of week. Didn't you love this week when you were in school, when you were a kid, and it was, did you have half days on Wednesdays?
Oh, my God. So, yes, I was having this discussion yesterday with something. None of these kids go to school anymore. That's what I'm learning. Like I believe out here in Nevada, the kids have the whole week off.
Is that right?
Yeah, the whole week.
Oh, these kids.
And then it's
so
like
soft.
And then it's 2 weeks from Christmas through New Year's. And then a week for spring break. That's what I told them yesterday. I said, I think I had a half day on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday off.
Listen, I don't want to sound like I'm 1,000 years old to start the show, but I'm 1,000 years old when it comes to this. Yeah, no, it was a great week. The half day on Wednesday was fantastic. Football on Thursday. Of course, we only had 2 games. Now they got 3. They got the 4th on Friday. So we'll talk to Drew about all that. We have Paul Carr talking Champions League coming up on the show. Futak is joining us. Pete Futak. I want to get to the bottom of 2 things. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Well, 3 things. 1, who's the team that's getting the shaft in the college football playoff? That's a standard weekly question. We've got to ask him that again. How does he feel about it now? Will one loss Indiana get there, or will they not? Will some other team get skrid at the end? We got to talk Heisman. I may talk Heisman first segment too, because I made a bet yesterday. We'll get to that. And
involved.
And in the Big 12, who's winning this thing? You know how many Big 12 teams can still get to the Big 12 championship?
How many?
9.
Are you serious?
4 are in the driver's seat. Well, 2 really, but 4 are ahead of the field. But there's 5 others that, given a specific scenario, could still get there.
So are we definitely having tiebreakers come into play?
Not definitely. Well, I mean, there's tiebreakers that will come into play, but they could get more convoluted if at least 3 of the 4 top teams get lose, which is unlikely, by the way, because everybody's a big favorite among those 4 except for Iowa State. It's only a 3-point favorite against Kansas State. Anyway, we'll get into him with that. And then maybe, I don't know, I love everybody on the show, but Jake Benzaquin is joining us. Jake is one of the, in case you missed this yesterday, so there's 54 remaining Circus Survivor entries. Each entry has the intrinsic value currently of $264,000 plus. Is that good going into Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Only 4 people have 2 entries. Nobody has more than 2 entries. Only 4 people have 2, which means 46 people have 1 entry to their name and 4 others have 2 to their name. Jake is one of the ones with 1. He is also the co-founder of Profit X. We had him on a few weeks ago, so we are not a jinx. We've established that. And I think Jake actually put out a poll yesterday on his Twitter. Hey, if you were in my position, would you talk about this stuff or you would kind of sweat it in silence? And Sweated in Silence won, and he's still coming on the show. So he doesn't care about his poll results.
I don't know. You sent that to me. I think I'd have to cancel Thanksgiving. Like literally at this point, yeah. I would need to be in a bunker by myself.
Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Jake, not one person in my family is a sports bettor. If you had Circus Sports Survivor entry available this Thanksgiving, like he does, would you sweat in silence or open Pandora's box by talking about the entry? I've truly never been more conflicted. No one talks about this part of the sweat. Sweat in silence won 64.2% to 35.8%. He's still coming on, baby.
But this is, or maybe I read wrong. Sweat in silence around your family, right? Like this is go through Thanksgiving like you don't have anything massive on the line.
Well,
right?
I guess that's what it means. But what I took it to mean is a general silence of, if you're not going to talk about it on Thanksgiving, like, don't come on a national radio show to talk about it, right? But Jake is coming on anyway, so we look forward to that.
I just can't imagine, like, preparing Thanksgiving and someone has a critique over your potato peeling or something. Like, I'd lose it. I'd absolutely lose it.
Yeah. Good for him. Good for everybody who's still in this, in what was the most carnage-filled Survivor ever through the first 5 weeks. Of course, we start today, pardon me, don't even know where I am, with the game last night between the Ravens and the Chargers. I mentioned yesterday, Kelley, I was on the Ravens big. It worked out. Yeah. Worked out for me. This was the only game I loved on guessing lines, not this Monday, but last Monday as well. I had guessed Ravens by 4. It was 2, and you said it was moving towards 3 at that time. It ended up settling at 2.5 all week. Ravens get it done 30-23. That last touchdown by the Chargers ends up being cosmetic from 30-16 to 30-23. But make no mistake, the Chargers did lead this game early. They led it 10-0. And then the Ravens just sort of dominated from that point forward. But let me just key in on one thing, because we don't usually give the guessing lines treatment for the Monday night games. But the one thing I do want to focus in on, for a couple of things, I'll get to the thing I want to focus in on momentarily. But just generally speaking, this doesn't change my thinking about the Ravens one iota. It doesn't change my thinking about the Chargers one iota. The Ravens still, to me, are I have them power ranked second in the NFL behind the Lions. I've had them that way for pretty much the entire season, almost. At least they've been top 3 the entire season. And the Chargers, the Chargers are basically the Commodores of the AFC, right? They're the Commanders of the AFC. And what I mean by that is, here are the Chargers' wins this year. And this is part of the handicap. They've beaten the Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos. Okay, give them the Broncos game, right? Yep. The Saints, the Browns, the Titans, and the Bengals. Those are their wins. Their losses, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Arizona, and Baltimore. So, it kind of, as cleanly as probably possible, just falls on who are you playing with the Chargers, in the same way that it does with the Commanders, with the exception, obviously, of losing to Dallas this week. Basically, they beat all the bad teams, and they just fall short against all the good teams. And so, Commodores, by the way, 7-5. The Chargers are 7-4 in the AFC, and right now still inside the playoff picture. But I don't know that it changed anything for you either. Did it with either of these two teams?
No, not at all. I mean, we are very far into the season for me to feel like I still don't have a strong grasp on what this Chargers team is. And like you said, I don't think that got cleared up at all last night. They showed enough fight that I think it helps back up a little bit of what their record is and what they've done. Like you said, they were feisty at least early in this game, but then the Ravens in that offense wakes up in the second half, and when it is rolling and looks good, it looks like the best thing in the NFL.
Yeah, and look, they, I think what else, what are the other two betting implications of this? I think the Ravens solidify themselves. I know the Steelers got to be the favorite in the AFC North for a minute. They always had the gauntlet in front of them. That gauntlet still remains. The Ravens were always, to me, the team that ought to be the favorite. They are once again the favorite in the AFC North. Are the Ravens. There's no indictment of the Steelers. It's just kind of the real pecking order. I think people lost their minds a little bit about the Steelers. And then when it comes to MVP, which we discussed yesterday, where after Saquon's amazing 255-yard rushing day, over 300 yards from scrimmage, there were some folks, obviously not some folks, but the market moved on Saquon not only to a prohibitive favorite for Offensive Player of the Year, which he should be, but it also moved him to the third shortest shot on the MVP board, just behind Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson last night, 16 of 22 for 177, 2 touchdowns, no picks. On the season, 27 touchdowns and 3 picks.
It's incredible.
I don't know how you don't give him this at this point. Okay. I really don't.
So I have not gotten involved. Did you bet Purdy? When did you bet Purdy earlier in the year?
Never bet Purdy this year.
Okay. So I bet him earlier in the year, and then I had Anthony Richardson preseason. I think I'm going to be getting involved with Lamar at some point here, because you're right. The numbers are absurd. It just feels like we're going to be having the same Nikola Jokic conversation with him of just, we don't want to give him 3 at this point.
Well, but Jokic was 3 in a row, which had historical impact. By the way, now that you asked me the Purdy question, I'm sort of thinking about it. I'm like, did I bet Purdy this year? I can't even remember anymore. Maybe I did. The Jokic conversation was 3 in a row, right? Because it was Wilt, Larry Bird, and Bill Russell. Do I have those 3 right? Were the only 3 guys to ever have 3 in a row?
Pretty sure you were correct.
And so it was this thing of, do we want to put Jokic in that rare air? And so this isn't quite the same thing, But 27 touchdowns and 3 picks, that's not to mention all of his rushing, right, as well. And I get it. Josh Allen's great. If you take him off the Bills, what are the Bills? So I'm with you on that, too. You can make a case. I'm not saying you can't.
He's awesome.
He's awesome.
I mean, it's me, Gill. It's me sitting here saying I would give it to Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen right now. And there's no bigger Josh Allen
But
fan
I think the Aaron Schatz thing about MVP is going to go to a quarterback and Saquon's going to get or some non-quarterback will get the Offensive Player of the Year. I think I lean towards that thinking. The point I did want to make about this game last night, beyond that, is I'm just so tired of the anti-analytics crowd that I have to point this out. Last night, the Ravens were 3 of 3 on 4th down. The Chargers were 2 of 2 on 4th down. Now, the reason I bring it up, because not every 4th down is a analytics go, but the anti-analytics community always, when it doesn't work, always blames analytics, right? So last night, 10-7, with 7:48, was it 10-7 with 2 minutes left in the half, the Ravens have 4th and inches at their own 16, and they get it. They go for it, and they get it. And that leads to a touchdown drive several plays later to put them up 14-10 at that point. Not to mention that they got 2 consecutive 4th down conversions later in the game on a touchdown drive. Chargers got a 4th down conversion earlier and then a 4th down on the garbage drive late. But my point is that the anti-analytics community, you won't hear a peep out of them today about these, right? Because they have set up the conversation that only when they don't work do they get to talk about it. Yeah. Right? So it's great to set up a debate or an argument, quote unquote, where you're going to find yourself right 100% of the time because you analyze the results. Right. And by the way, their counter might be like, yeah, well, Gill, the Ravens have Derrick Henry. They didn't run Derrick Henry on the 4th and inches from their own 16. That was Mark Andrews. So it gave you plenty of opportunity to have your retroactive analysis of that kind of thing. So to the anti-analytics community, that outcome of that game doesn't happen unless the Ravens do what they did yesterday.
Oh, probably. And man, I was uncomfortable with some of it. It was very aggressive by John.
Somebody has to point that out. Yeah, they don't say anything when it works out this way. But chirpy when it doesn't. Drew Dinsick on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to bet smarter? Start with smarter insights. From expert breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups to deep dives into betting strategies and trends, VSiN delivers the kind of actionable content that gives you the edge. Right now, you can check out articles like, check this out, Kelley, Greg Peterson's college basketball best bets. That alone should take you to VSiN.com. Yeah. Adam Burke's Week 14 college football rankings projection. We'll get another iteration of that tonight. And then Toledo, Akron, match preview. Later today, you can check out Zach Cohen's NBA best bets, Steve Makinen's NBA analytics report, and Jonathan Davis's top NHL player props. You get access to everything we do, including these exclusive articles for only $60 until May 1st, 2025 with our Black Friday special. Head over to VSiN.com/subscribe today. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Just want to read a couple here. This is from Russ Harden. We were the same way back in the day, half a day on Wednesday, Thanksgiving week. Then was there a better day in your 20s than Wednesday night at the bars? Used to be one of my favorite days of the year. Well, that makes one of us, Russ.
No, it is still one of the best. Yeah, in your 20s for sure. That's when you catch up with everybody from like high school, college.
What's with Wednesdays, though? Why Wednesdays?
Like, because everybody's in town. Like, right, if you're at home for Thanksgiving, everybody's back home, so you catch up with some people from high school.
Okay. D-Gen Southern Gent. While perusing this week's NFL slate, I noticed a crazy scheduling quirk with Carolina. Panthers don't play a road game in November. In between November 3rd and December 29th, they play one road game. I feel like that's a scheduling advantage no one is talking about. I'll tell you another one, D-Gen Southern Gent, is the Eagles don't have to jump on a plane anymore the rest of the regular season.
Oh, that's nice.
I think their only 2 road games are in Baltimore and Washington. I don't know what these NFL players do on short trips like that, but I'm thinking it's not a plane from Philly.
That's a great question.
Anyway, they don't have to, is the point. I mean, so there's no big travel for the Eagles the rest of the way.
Show me the luxury bus setup. That's what I want to see. You're right.
Jack Cannon, I'm a Ron Burgundy through this. Jack Cannon, could this be the worst wager ever? Last week, Dave Portnoy, Barstool, bet $100,000 on Alabama to win the national championship, pay off $1.1 million after Saturday's loss. He essentially lost $100K on games that won't be played. Yeah, I don't know if he notices $100K though. Does he?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
made headlines. We just talked about it.
Let's bring Drew in here. Drew Dinsick joins us Whale Capper, Whale_Capper on Twitter, and of course the co-host of both the Deep Dive and Bet the Edge podcast from NBC Sports, joins us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Drew, before we get to your wisdom, Kelley used to work in South Florida. Explain what you did in South Florida. What was your?
Well, we did I did a afternoon radio show on ESPN West Palm there, and then I was the executive producer for the local sports department for WPTV News Channel 5. So you might have seen a high school highlight of Lamar Jackson going around last
Here's
night.
Here's a play of the game. Jackson sprinting around the pocket. What to do?
Oh, now you can talk, Kelley.
Oh, there we go. Throw on the brakes. There he goes. Wells Dusenberry's shooting it. He's been on the network before. Emerson Lazio was calling it. We've had him on the show before. He was anchoring that night. So, yeah.
Wow.
The old Boynton breaks from Lamar Jackson.
Would you have imagined he would have been this good?
At that time, just if everybody remembers his early college days, it was, okay, he's special on a football field. Can he play quarterback, though? I mean, we covered him in high school. He was overthrowing wide receivers by 20 yards. It was a problem.
People were still doubting him at Louisville, for God's sakes. And, of course, the NFL draft doubted him when he went 32nd. Drew is here. Yeah. Drew, that game last night, I'll ask you what we talked about. Change your opinion at all on either team, the Ravens or the Chargers?
A little bit on the Chargers, or not changed opinion, but sort of crystallized my opinion of that defense, I think, which is they're completely capable of snuffing out the lesser quarterbacks and the lesser offenses in the NFL. And then when they come up against a dynamic two-headed attack, it gets a little bit different. Certainly the fact that they were not fully healthy did not help them. But this is now 2 in a row where they've gone up against the elite top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL and given up 30 points. So I think we got our answer on exactly how to view the Chargers defense. Chargers offense is exactly who we thought they were. Good offensive line, but young and still prone to making some backbreaking mistakes, usually via penalty mostly. Good quarterback, but not elite. And pass catchers that are wildly suspect. And I think if there was not a healthy amount of, handsiness from the secondary from the Ravens, I'm not even sure it was this close. So the Chargers are the quintessential AFC wildcard team where, best of luck against the elites in the playoffs, guys.
Yeah, I think that most people think that. I want to rewind to one thing you said in there, though, and I agree with you. Like Quentin Johnston, 3 drops last night. 3.
Gosh.
I mean,
one of them that basically ended the game for the Chargers.
Yeah. You said something about Justin Herbert in there that I don't want to let slide. You said good quarterback, not elite. You believe that?
Yeah, I think you can squarely, if there are a lot of people who kind of go out of their way to kind of make a case that he should be concluded in the same breaths of the Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrows of the world, and I think it's pretty clear he's on the next tier. And that's not bad. I mean, much better place to be in than, the Giants. There's plenty of other franchises who would take not elite quarterback play if it looked like Justin Herbert. But that said, I think I guess the next time he goes toe to toe with, one of the top guys and really outperforms them, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we did our quarterback rankings early in the season. Maybe even before the season started.
This was a conversation we had preseason.
Yeah. And I put him at 8th. And
there you go.
And my comment.
Put it in pen.
I should have put it in pen. But my comment was, he's 8th. My comment was, he's about a year away. I said this exactly. We're about a year away from this dropping more. And what I meant by that was there was a lot of games when he had, Eckler and Allen and Williams. And I know, maybe that hasn't aged well for any of those 3 guys, but I think it's a better outfit than he has around him now in terms of skill position players. He got them. My comment was he got them to a lot of close finishes, and it was a lot of it was him. But when they got to those last drives, he was often poor on those last drives. And you can't have that happen over and over again before you start to say, okay, this is kind of who he is. Now, I will say this. I said he was a year away from dropping from that. I actually think better of him now than I did then. I think last night, I can't blame any of that on Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, I thought was pretty awesome last night. And I think he's been pretty awesome most of the year. So I do think that would you allow this? that even if he is the next tier, the potential for elite is right there. Like, he does have all the tools.
I guess but at this point, with what you're paying him and the way that they have elected to kind of build the roster, I don't know that you're ever going to see him with the tools that would take him to that level.
Maybe.
And I guess kind of I get what your point was about preseason, and I felt the same way. Like, going in, rating him at in the 6 to 10 range, like, that was correct. Everybody who was kind of putting him 8th, like, you were right. There was a trap door. And the trap door was largely because I think in his early part of his career, he was propped up by the kind of tail end of a great Keenan Allen career. And, it made it look a little bit better than he was early. And then even more than that, a lot of the stuff that he was using to kind of really kind of the eye-popping stuff, wow, how did that happen? It was not sustainable. It was long third down conversions. It was CJ Stroud-esque, honestly. And that hasn't really gone away. That's just kind of, you looked at the numbers, you looked at the data, and you're like, I mean, it's good, but like, we've never seen a quarterback sustain these types of rates on these, third and forevers. If he does it, I guess that's who he is, and he's good. But there was a sincere belief that that could just come to an end. And if he's not getting those long, third down conversions and all, then what is he? Because he's not a guy that's necessarily capable of crossing the street, 30 times to get to the end zone. And I think we've kind of answered that he is still a volatile proposition. Like, he is capable of delivering an absolute dime on 4th and 9, when the game is, already kind of out of reach. But at the same time, like, when you need him to, I don't know, he made a great pass to Quentin Johnson, and Quentin Johnson didn't catch it. And that would have potentially been the game tying drive for the Chargers. And then they give up the big 51-yard touchdown. So, a lot of this is a little bit of kind of results based bias, I suppose. But it can't be an accident that every time he goes up against a Mahomes and Allen, a Jackson, a Burrow, I mean, you beat Burrow, but that was mostly, I feel like, about the Bengals defense. And again, like a pretty spectacular run to cap it for the Chargers on their 10th opportunity to win that game. It's more fragile. Whereas with Mahomes, even if they're having a bad day, if they have the ball last, you kind of assume he's going to win.
He just never catches the criticism, right? Like, what you said, Gill, is almost, I agree with. I think this year I almost look at him higher than I have before. I do. For all these quarterbacks that catch so much heat, he's never one of them when he's never accomplished anything in the playoffs. And I just agree. I think we need to start thinking about him a little bit differently. We should have a couple years ago.
Whereas Tua, they were drafted back to back, right? Tua, who is wildly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite of what you're saying. I'm not saying he's as good as Justin Herbert, but what I'm saying is any criticism that can possibly be thrust on him is thrust on him. Right, there is that. I do think Justin Herbert is a lot more elusive in the pocket this year, has a little more run to him, so I like that as well. All of Drew's Week 13 picks in the NFL on the other side. It's a numbers game at the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hey, you heard about this? Call it all VSiN poker players. VSiN has partnered with Poker Now, and together we're hosting an online poker tournament this Sunday, December 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can win a golden passport for a free seat in the largest poker free roll ever, the World Poker Tour's $5 million free roll in Las Vegas, later in December. Visit VSiN.com/poker and register today for your chance to win. That's VSiN.com/poker. VSiN's Dave Tooley, Adam Burke, and Scott Seidenberg have already committed to playing this.
Big names. I might be there too, Gill. I might be there.
Tooley, Burke, Seidenberg. Poker. Like it. Are you going to do it?
Yeah. I might be there Sunday night.
Kelley Bydlon likes himself a little poker.
I used to play a ton of poker, yeah. I used to play
Kelley Bydlon likes himself a little blackjack, a little poker. What else are you playing these days?
No, I mean, not nearly as much poker these days.
You play video poker as well, though?
Yeah, video poker, blackjack, yeah.
Oh, you're that kind of guy.
Those are more like recreational. I have a cocktail in my hand, gambling, though.
Always with a cocktail. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Michael Burns. Wednesday before Thanksgiving is a.k.a. Skanksgiving, he says. If you know, you know. Best listeners in the game, everybody. Best listeners in the game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go that far last segment, but yeah. I don't know if you can't also say that and then write, if you know, you know, right?
If you know, you know. Roger Jones tweets it. Remember, Roger Jones was the guy yesterday who was like, hey, Gill, you watched that Steve McNair thing over the weekend, didn't you? Right? Without even asking me, he creeped me out a little bit because I did watch the Steve McNair, the Air McNair documentary.
What's he got today? Or did you see at the gas station or something?
He tweets in, he goes, Kelley, need your advice here. Should I lean into the stalker vibe as of yesterday and say that, Gill, I checked your account and yes, you had a Purdy ticket? Should I say that? This is from One Loss from Retirement. I'm going to have to heavily edit One Loss from Retirement's tweet. He says, I know Drew isn't insert crapping on Herbert because Johnston can't catch and a blank guy named Ladd is his number one target. Let's give the guy another year under Harbaugh to get some pass catchers.
Let's keep giving him another year, Gill. Let's just keep giving him another year. This guy, by the time he's 38, he's going to be great. Watch out.
And Rich PSM, I'm not for or against analytics. I'm for considering who you are and who you're playing. You can't give equal weight to a call versus Kansas City and versus the Giants, and that's not even a slight difference. Rich, I'm right with you. I'm with you, but that's not my point. My point is that the anti-analytics folks are completely results oriented. They love to chirp about it when, first of all, the anti-analytics community has no clue what is analytics based and what isn't. That's the first layer, right? So they just catch all with analytics. And here's their catch all. When something doesn't work, that's out of their construct of how you play football, then they go nuts. But when it does work, right, 14-8 down to 6 on the twos, going for 4th and short 3 times yesterday for the Ravens, you don't hear a peep. Not a peep. That's the point. Ladies and gentlemen, back for another segment, as he always is, Drew Dinsick at whale_capper, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. All right, Drewski.
By the way, I'm shocked that people who aren't intellectually honest are confirming their priors only with their platforms. This is very surprising.
I knew you'd see it my way. All right, let's get to Week 13, which obviously starts. Let's start with before we even get to Sunday. Let's start with Thanksgiving and Friday as a quartet of games, and obviously from a fan's perspective, these are not. Let's say the most sexy games of all of them, but there are spreads, and so there is betting. Do you like any of these?
Standalone game is a standalone game.
Yes, it is.
I got a couple plays. I think that 10.5. I've capitulated a lot about my Lions number. I've upgraded their defense to being top 10, despite not really understanding how they're getting away with this. And I still can't get to 10.5 for this game against the Bears. My number is 8.9. So 10.5 for me in pocket with the early game there. And I think the total also is quite high. 48.5 is screaming high. I make this more like 44.5. So probably going to end up with a little bit of under in pocket as well. I'm not sure exactly how to take that on, but you got a Bears team that played their divisional opponents quite close twice last year with a worse team, as far as I can tell you. So I think that should be a competitive opener. And then nothing in Dallas Giants, although the fact that this Dallas team could be more than a field goal favorite against anyone kind of baffles me. The nightcap is the fun one, obviously. I played some under here, largely because I think that the threes are not going to show for the Packers. It looked with a little bit of early market momentum for the Dolphins yesterday morning. I was kind of dreaming of getting a flat 3. Didn't ever show up, so just gave up and played the under there. I think the real feel 6-degree temperatures at Lambeau Fields are going to have a little bit of an impact on offensive efficiency in this one. This is whenever you look at the weather and you see 6 degree, you know what I think of, Gill? That sounds like dolphin weather to me.
That was exactly my handicap yesterday, Drew. And I did bet the Packers -3. That was exactly the biggest thing for me. I was like, Tom Coughlin's cheeks. I get it. He wasn't the coach of the Dolphins, but Tom Coughlin's cheeks is the first thing I think of. And then I think about the Dolphins in cold weather. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you guys saying Tua can't play well in the cold? Have we talked about this before?
We have not specifically.
He has had okay games in the cold, but he has also had games where he was non-functional, most notably last year's playoff game against the Chiefs. Now, granted, that was like probably real feel -26, but still it was did not cover himself in glory. And it just like people there are ways to handicap where you are just flat out numbers based and you are beating the market, and that's fine. But the qualitative layer of stuff like a team from Miami going to play in 6 degrees matters. It does. I will go to a qualitative layer like the Giants were just told by their coach that they're quitting on the season because they're starting Tommy DeVito. That matters. Like, it impacts effort. It does. Yeah. You're putting your body on the line. Like, there's real risks to your health and your longevity on this earth. And if you're not going out there to win, it changes your interest in playing hard. So, there are funny things that matter a lot this time of year when it comes to NFL betting. And I think in general, under 47 is the fun angle to attack there. And I guess I'll just mention, as much as it's fun to knock on the Dolphins and Tua and the offense is really kind of the focus of that part of the handicap there. The Dolphins defense is playing really, really well right now. They have come completely out of the clouds and are kind of surpassing my wildest expectations of what to expect right now. 8th right now in EPA per play allowed when you remove turnovers. I did not see that coming, and they're relatively healthy. So I think they can keep a little bit of a lid on the scoring there, which helps me into this 47.
Anything Raiders Chiefs 13-point spread on Friday?
I would take your money that you want to bet on that game, and I would bet a little Pat Mahomes MVP. Whoa. Pat Mahomes MVP,
yes,
is that's the Black Friday special, Gill.
That's the 12 to 1. Special. Yeah.
If you want to tell me that there is not a dead similar, and I get it. Like, I'm not pattern betting here. I'm not trying to just relive history. But Pat Mahomes is literally walking in the footsteps of Lamar Jackson's MVP from last season. His defense carried him to a bunch of early season wins when his numbers really didn't support anywhere close to an MVP candidacy. And now he's putting together better performances while the defense is slipping a little bit. And I think the message is pretty clear from that Carolina game. Like, the Chiefs offense needs to go out and score 30 if they're going to continue to win games. The rest of their schedule is very, very soft. They have a number of teams that are not playing for anything and a number of teams where they have a huge advantage in standalone games. And if you're winning your standalone Christmas Saturday and your standalone Christmas Day game against the likes of the Texans and the Steelers, teams that I think we all agree have enormous questions right now, like, beat those teams, get to 16 wins. And I think there is a realistic chance that all of the other quarterbacks will have accrued losses to good teams or just have off days. And if Mahomes is playing clean football, this is conditional on him continuing to throw touchdowns, have sort of these 3-0 type of games. I think he's real to come into that award market.
Let me step in because we have to do this rapid fire because I want to get some of your Sunday thoughts. But the real quick retort to that is, I'm not even going to get into the other players' candidacies. Lamar with 27 touchdowns and 3 picks.
Sure.
I'm not going to get into that.
He deserves it, but yeah, he's also going to have a tough time getting. He doesn't have a clean path into the playoffs.
If the Chiefs go 15-2, is it more likely, in your opinion, that Mahomes gets MVP or that Andy Reid gets Coach of the Year? And
Mahomes MVP.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. I think Dan Campbell he's got the trump card over Andy Reid in every which way. And most notably, he's had an arc. Andy Reid has already won the award. Like, there are a lot of things that I think kind of point to Reid's pretty much. Reid needed 17-0. I think it's over for him.
Favorite play on Sunday or Monday, sir, is?
I don't have a ton. I bet the Rams at 2.5, and I bet the Colts at 3. Everything Sunday, Monday looks pretty darn tight to me. Cleveland on Monday is actually a fun bet as well. I make that well under 3.
Yeah, we're going to talk Survivor with Jake Bensick coming up. He's one of the 54, he has one of the 54 remaining entries. And I'm right with you because there's the Thanksgiving, there's the Thursday, Friday portion of this week. He's got to get through that, which I'm not sure, I shouldn't say. I think he has set up. I would assume he has set up. But when it comes to Sunday, Monday, which is 13B, if you will, when it comes to Circus Survivor, God help everybody. Absolutely agree with what you're saying. Always interesting, Drew. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, best luck, yes.
You too. Drew Dinsick, everybody, at whale_capper, Deep Dive and Bet the Edge podcast. We'll come back. Little Heisman talk next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Are you the type of players looking to get down $10,000 or more on an NFL line at the best price in the market? Or perhaps you're looking to get your in-game play instantly accepted? Introducing SportTrade, the app that's going to change sports betting forever. Minus 104 lines instead of the typical minus 110. Instant in-game betting and a concierge player service. SportTrade, perfect for those who want a premium betting experience. SportTrade live in New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, Arizona, and now Virginia. That's 10% of all these United States, by the way, Kelley. I did the math. Oh. Download SportTrade. Use code VSiN to earn 10% cash back on each wager in your first week. Terms apply. Got to be 21 years or older to play. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback. Jesse Welch. I said this to Will Hill earlier, so I'm recycling here, but I'm fairly confident that Will Levis is the second coming of Jameis Winston in Tampa. There you go.
I mean, yeah, he has very, very much Jameis vibes. Why do you think I liked him when he was coming out? Absolutely. It's gunslinger vibes, right? Let it fly.
Ill-advised Billy Levi's will then hit some big play. It's exactly what you're talking about with Jameis, right? And then you're like, oh my God, he's good. Oh, there it is.
Well, we talked about it. I'll take it a step further. You and I were talking about it off the air yesterday. It's gotten to the point where I think we're just going to keep bouncing back and forth with Levis and Anthony Richardson, where one week you're like, this kid's got some skills. Watch out. He could get good here. And then the next week, you're like, oh, never mind. He's back to throwing 2 interceptions and doing nothing. I need Levis to throw more INTs. That's still the future I've been the most excited about from the preseason to now. He finally got back in the lineup, but I've got him like 24-1 to have the most interceptions. Shout out to Dustin Sweetelson. Found that here, Circa.
Jason H11, there's a rock history tweet from someone. In your opinion, what's the best Bob Seger song? And he said, well, you two are the experts from our time at the D. I'm going to go with that slow jam we've got tonight.
Yeah, you always brought that up.
That's the jam. But they never played that at the D.
Yeah.
Daytime Degenerate. Hey, Gill, we also saw the Ravens go for 2 up 7. Oh, yes. Good point.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 17-16, Ravens, third quarter. 17-16. This is the drive where they converted 2 fourth downs, right? 4th and inches at their own 39, right? Everybody's focused on the own 16 one, which we were earlier. But 4th and inches from their own 39, Henry for 27. Then later, and Joe Buck even said, well, if you went for 4th down on your 4th and inches at your own 39, you got to go for it here at the Chargers 25. They did again, Henry for 2. And then 5 plays later, it was Lamar to Mark Andrews from 6 out. Remember, that was the touchdown where the ref was trying everything he could to say it wasn't a touchdown when he had 2 feet and a booty cheek on the.
What were with these refs this weekend?
I have no idea.
AJ Brown first in that one. Like what?
Anyway, so that made it 23-16. So they're up 7, and they decided to go for 2. On our little text, me, Will, Falika, Todd, and Fezzik, we were divided on this. Falika hated that they went for 2 there. Me and Will didn't have a problem with it.
That's funny. I was more uncomfortable with some of the 4th down decisions earlier. I would have just kicked the extra point, but I didn't have a huge problem with it.
I didn't have a huge problem with it.
A situation like that where you get a chance to basically shut the door completely on the Chargers, I don't have a problem going for the kill.
As Will said it this way. He goes, you're really making a decision. Do you want to, because if you go up 8, then you might have to just defend a 2-point conversion. So you're basically deciding, do you want to be on offense on a 2-point conversion or you want to be on defense?
That's a good way of putting it.
It's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah. I didn't have a problem with it because if you get it, they didn't, by the way, it bounced off Zay's hands. But I had the Ravens and I didn't have a problem with it. So yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little college football for a second. We're going to have Pete Futak on later, but I made a bet yesterday, Mr. Bydlon.
Yeah, you did.
Mr. Bidley. Made a Heisman bet. So can we show the Heisman market? It is out of control here. Now, unlike the NFL awards, where there are 50 votes, 50, that's it, for all of the NFL awards. The Heisman Trophy award is on the sort of backs of 1,000 voters, feels like. There are hundreds. There are hundreds upon hundreds. I think it even is 1,000.
That was like 1,300 or something.
I think it's 1,300 voters, something like that. Travis Hunter is minus 800. The 2-way star for the Colorado Buffaloes, Travis Hunter, who I had a bet on last year, by the way. So part of this is I hate myself. Travis Hunter is minus 800.
928.
928. Yes. Like we said, not 1,300, 928. we were just a little off.
Well, I hope it changes every year. I mean, I used to know a guy that hadn't covered college football in decades that still had a vote.
Well, okay, Futak is coming up. Futak has a vote. Felica does not.
Felica does not have a vote.
Okay, so Travis Hunter is minus 800. Now, with awards betting in every sport through the years, what do we always say? We always say, hey, this might not actually be a reflection of reality, right? Betting markets, when it comes to awards, may not be a reflection of actual reality because we're handicapping voters. We have no idea what these guys are thinking, except for when I ask Futak later when Aaron Schatz comes on and I ask him directly. Then we have an idea, at least for one voter. Ashton Genty is plus 650. Everybody now is double digits or longer besides those two guys. Cam Ward is 14-1. Cam Ward from Miami. Dylan Gabriel of Oregon has fallen all the way back to 50-1. And beyond that, it's all triple digits to 1. So it feels like at this point, it is Hunter versus Genty.
Cam Ward can't win this?
He can because it's award voters and we don't know. But here's my thinking. My thinking is this. Travis Hunter in no world should be minus 800.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not going to win it, but I'm saying in no world should he be minus 800. I get it. He's amazing. I bet on Colorado a lot. I love Travis Hunter. Apparently he's a great kid also. So's Ashton Genty. And you love what his future is, but let me just say this about two-way players. Two-way players is largely a flex, right? In other words, it's not like he's going to be a regular two-way player in the NFL. It's this cool college thing that happens, and I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying it is what it is. It doesn't mean that you're the best wide receiver in the country. It doesn't mean you're the best cornerback in the country. And by the way, you're not the best at either. You're really good at both, but you're not the best. A few tweets, if you will. This is from Football Fanatics. If Ashton Genty doesn't win Heisman over Travis Hunter, it just solidifies that it is turning into a popularity contest and not the best player in college football award. Now, this graphic is going to be small to some, but basically, Ashton Genty at Boise State attempts, yards per attempt from scrimmage, touchdowns. It's cut off here, but there's also other touchdowns from scrimmage. I think there is total touchdowns, points, total offense. Anyway, there's a number of offensive categories that are cut off here. He's first in almost every one of them, right? And then if you go back to the other one, you'll see that Travis Henry on some other categories, he's really good, but there's nothing that makes him number one, even close to number one in anything. Now, I get it. You're on two sides of the football, so that should, it's a Shohei thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a Shohei thing. But if Shohei Ohtani hit 25 homers and had a 4.00 ERA, would he still win MVP in baseball? We've talked about this. Maybe, maybe not. Let's go to the other one here. This is another tweet. This is from DraftKings. Ashton Genty's 2024 season looking a bit familiar. This is comparing Ashton Genty's 2024 to Derrick Henry's 2015 Heisman year, which I like to refer to as, hey, Derrick Henry, could you give Christian McCaffrey? I know you're holding Christian McCaffrey's Heisman for him. Where is it in your house?
Yeah, for real. Right?
There was such East Coast bias back then. Yeah. It's unbelievable. But anyway, you see that it's in 11 games, 2,062 yards for Genty. In 13, 1986 for Alabama. I get it. Alabama's playing in the SEC against the greatest teams every week. I know. Ashton Genty, 7.5 yards per carry. Is that good? 187.5 yards per game. Both of those considerably better than Henry. I get it. The competition, not as good, but still. And then this last one I just want to show you, just to drive the point home a little further, and we'll get into this with Futak later. I have no idea who Futak's leaning towards. This is from CFB Talk Daily. Running backs in college football history with 2,000 rushing yards and 25 rushing touchdowns in 11 games. Barry Sanders, Ricky Williams, Ashton Genty. That's your list. His 2,062 rushing yards through 11 games are the most in college football since LaDainian Tomlinson did so in 2000. That's via Reddit. So I say all of this to say, look, do I know that Ashton Genty's going to win the Heisman? I do not. But yesterday, I got him at plus 750 because my feeling is, and obviously those tweets aside for a second, but those tweets matter, the contents of them. I feel like if you don't give Ashton Genty the Heisman Trophy this year, you are basically saying, and I get it, he plays in the Mountain West and not the SEC or the Big Ten, but if we can just have a little bit of context, if you don't give a guy with these stats, these historical stats, the Heisman, you are probably never giving another running back the Heisman Trophy ever again. And I mean that. Again, I'm sure if some Bama a running back were to do something otherworldly, okay, maybe there's an exception to that. But you get the general idea. If you don't give it to Ashton Jeanty this year, then when will you ever give this to anybody who is a running back? And Travis Hunter, while that's an awesome thing to be on both sides of the football, you have a Colorado team that may not get to the college football playoff, probably won't get there. Boise State, most likely, it's not a lock that they will, but most likely at this point will. I don't know, 938 voters? I'd be willing to take a shot at plus 750, and so that's why I bet it.
It's plus a fun race here. It's a fun race. I don't mind the bet at all. I'm with you. Minus 800 feels steep.
Yeah, I mean, if he was 2-1, I wouldn't have bet it. But plus 750, sure, absolutely. We'll come back and we'll talk Champions League with Paul Carr next.